We are NamelessParadox. The hidden cost of functionality. A man can look completely solid from the outside and still experience himself as a visitor inside his own existence. Bills are paid, obligations are met, systems stay running, he remains needed. Yet somewhere along the way, the sense that the life belongs to him has thinned. This is rarely the product of dramatic collapse. It is the quieter outcome of years spent treating his own direction as secondary. He becomes skilled at meeting every external demand while the private feeling of authorship slowly fades. From the outside, he appears reliable. From the inside, he often feels increasingly distant from the life he is living. The distance is usually dismissed as stress or just adult life. Underneath it sits a deeper pattern. The man has stopped treating his own aims as primary. He has become useful without feeling central, necessary without feeling alive in the role. He remains in the scene while the sense of being the central figure quietly disappears. What frame actually is. Frame is the private standard a man maintains when pressure arrives. It is not volume, performance, or the ability to control every external outcome. It is the inner reference point that decides how difficulty is interpreted, and whether external forces rewrite him or whether he continues to set the terms of his own response. A man with frame can carry the full weight of responsibility without immediately surrendering his direction. A man without it begins to treat every new demand as the new definition of who he is. Frame is what keeps the outer life from colonizing the inner one. When it is present, adaptation does not require disappearance. When it is absent, adaptation becomes a slow form of self-erasure. Most men never receive clear language for this. They only feel the effects: quiet resentment, low-level emptiness, the sense that they are surviving a life rather than authoring one. The background character mentality. Background character mentality forms when frame is left unguarded long enough. The man becomes skilled at occupying space without claiming it. He learns that being low maintenance often earns more immediate approval than being clear. Over time, he stops generating his own direction and begins managing the one handed to him by circumstances, expectations, and the needs of others. He still works, he still provides, he still meets the visible standards, but the private question of what he is actually building toward goes quiet. This is not laziness. It is the accumulated result of repeatedly choosing the path of least internal resistance until that path becomes the only one he remembers how to walk. From the outside, the pattern can look like maturity. He is not causing problems, he is holding things together. Inside the holding, something essential has been set down. He has become part of the scenery of his own life. The Stoic inner citadel. The ancient Stoics described a structure that maps directly onto frame. They called it the inner citadel, a fortress within that no external force can truly conquer unless the man himself opens the gates. Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus both insisted that while circumstances, duties, and other people can place heavy claims on a man, they cannot automatically own his judgments, his intentions, or the quality of his responses. The inner citadel is not a fantasy of control over the outer world. It is the recognition that a man can meet real obligations without allowing those obligations to erase the part of him that still aims at something. When the citadel is maintained, he can carry what cannot be put down while still keeping an inner territory under his command. When it is neglected, the background role becomes the default setting. Frame and the inner citadel point to the same necessity. Modern Stoicism in ordinary life. Modern Stoicism takes the old insights and applies them to the conditions most men actually live in. It does not ask a man to retreat from responsibility or pretend that money, family, and duty are illusions. It trains him to stop confusing what he can control with what he cannot, and to protect his inner position while meeting what must be met. In practice, this appears as several clear applications. First, the separation of raw event from the story the mind immediately attaches to it. The gap where frame is either kept or surrendered. Second, the protection of attention in a world designed to keep it fragmented. Reclaiming even small periods of undistracted thought is a direct act of rebuilding the citadel. Third, the choice of response over automatic compliance, meeting an external requirement without surrendering the same internal territory every time. Fourth, the reframing of discomfort so that difficulty is treated as information rather than an automatic emergency. Fifth, the maintenance of standards under reduced energy, because the real test is whether any standards survive fatigue and the long middle of ordinary days. These are the daily methods by which a man either reinforces his frame or slowly loses it. How personal frame is lost. Frame is rarely destroyed in one moment. It erodes. A man begins with a clearer internal position. He knows, at least in outline, what he is aiming at and what he is unwilling to become. Then life applies pressure. Obligations, financial weight, relational demands, the simple accumulation of years. Each time he yields a little more of his inner ground, he tells himself it is temporary, necessary, that he will return to his own direction once the current season passes. The seasons continue. The return keeps being postponed. Eventually he looks up and realizes he no longer has a clear sense of what he would be doing if the pressure lifted. The pressure has become the only structure left. This is how background character mentality installs itself. Not through one dramatic betrayal, but through a long series of reasonable seeming concessions that leave the man functional and increasingly hollow. The work of rebuilding. Rebuilding personal frame does not require abandoning real responsibilities. It requires refusing to let those responsibilities become the only voice that matters. The work is practical and repetitive. Frame is not restored by a single insight. It is restored by consistent return to the inner position under real conditions. The foundation is physical. A neglected body becomes a constant source of weakness, fog, and lowered capacity. Strength training, consistent movement, sleep, and basic physical care are the ground on which a clear mind stands. A man who cannot command his body will struggle to command his responses when pressure rises. The second layer is mental, reducing the constant input that keeps the mind reactive, creating regular periods of silence and deliberate thought, examining the automatic stories about what is possible and what must be permanently postponed. The third layer is directional. Even under heavy responsibility, small margins remain. In those margins, a man can still move toward something that belongs to him. Skill, creation, study, physical progress, or quiet preparation for a longer aim. These actions do not need to be large. They need to be consistent enough that the original direction is not completely starved. Rebuilding also requires a change in measurement. Instead of asking only whether every external demand was met, the man begins to ask whether any part of his private direction remained alive inside those demands. That question is often uncomfortable. It is also the beginning of recovery. Practical daily exercises. Morning orientation. Before the demands of the day fully arrive, state 3 things clearly. What is within your control today, what is not, and one standard you will not lower regardless of how the day unfolds. This sets the inner reference point before external forces begin shaping the hours. The pause before reaction. When pressure, irritation, or unexpected demand appears, create a short, deliberate gap. One full breath, one silent question. Is this mine to control or only mine to meet? The pause interrupts automatic surrender of position. Evening review. At the end of the day, ask 3 questions without self-attack. Where did I keep my position? Where did I hand it over too quickly? What will I protect more carefully tomorrow? This builds honest awareness without collapsing into guilt. Physical non-negotiable. Choose one physical practice completed regardless of mood. Strength work, walking, mobility, or controlled breathing. The body is the first territory. Margin movement. Identify one small action that belongs only to you. Skill practice, writing, focus, study, creation, or preparation toward a longer aim. Completed even when the day has been heavy. Voluntary discomfort. Occasionally choose a controlled difficulty. Harder training, cold exposure, a period of deliberate silence, or a temporary restriction. The point is not punishment. It is proof that discomfort does not automatically equal emergency and that the man can remain steady inside it. These practices are simple. Their power comes from repetition under the actual conditions of a demanding life. The long practice. The inner citadel is not built in a weekend. It is maintained under pressure across years. Every time a man feels the pull to abandon his standards for temporary ease, he is standing at the gate. Every time he chooses to protect his health, his clarity, or his longer aim despite fatigue, the structure grows stronger. This is not a project of self-improvement theater. It is the practical refusal to let necessity become the only remaining identity. A man can meet every outer duty and still lose the thread of his own life. He can be respected, relied upon, and completely necessary, and still reach later years unable to say what he was actually building toward. The alternative is available, but it is not automatic. It requires the daily decision to keep an inner territory under command while carrying what cannot be set down. Final position. Frame is the structure that keeps a man from being rewritten by his circumstances. The inner citadel is the same structure described through an older and still useful language. Modern Stoicism supplies practical methods for reinforcing it day after day. Background character mentality is what forms when that structure is neglected for too long. The demands of life will not disappear. Money, duty, family, and the weight of ordinary years will continue to press. The question is whether the man meeting those demands still occupies the center of his own existence, or whether he has slowly become scenery in a life that merely functions. Protect the body that must carry the weight. Clear the mind that must interpret the weight. Move even in small, consistent ways toward what still belongs to you. Use the daily practices to keep the inner position alive under real pressure. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Perfect conditions are not coming. The work is done inside the life that already exists. Stay present inside the demands instead of disappearing into them. Hold the inner stance. Refuse the quiet reduction into pure function. The life will still be heavy. The difference is whether the man carrying it remains the one deciding what the weight is for. Don't be a fucking NPC. We are NamelessParadox. I'll see you in the next one.